Parents often ask me, how can I help my child learn to read? One of the best ways to help your child learn to read is to increase their vocabulary. And one way to do that is to talk to them. Use words that are interesting and different. A listening vocabulary includes the words children understand when you speak to them. A speaking vocabulary includes words children use when they talk. A child's listening vocabulary is usually much larger than his or her speaking vocabulary. So, increase that listening vocabulary by using some really cool, interesting words. Hi, everybody. It's Miss MaryMargaret from the Sand Lake Library. I brought a friend with me today. It's a three-toed sloth, and his name is Clyde. Can you say hello to Clyde? Hi, Clyde. He's here to help me with story time because we're going to do a story time all about sloths. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do our hello song. Are you ready? I think Clyde can help us. What do you think? Yeah. Up, down, turn around, touch the sky, touch the ground, wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose, wiggle your shoulders, wave hello. Nice job doing the hello song, Clyde. You've been practicing. How about we give him a high 3? Remember, he only has 3 fingers, so he can't do a high 5. He does a high 3. How about you put up 3 fingers too? 1, 2, 3. All right, let's high 3 Clyde. All right, let's go ahead and read some stories now. Sloth Slept On, written and illustrated by Fran Preston Gannon. Missing. If found, please return to the zoo. He wasn't like any other creature we had ever found in the backyard. We asked him his name. We asked what he was doing up in our tree, but there was no answer. He was asleep. We had lots of questions, so we set off to find some answers. First, we asked Dad what he thought, but he was busy. We looked in all the books we could find. They were full of pictures and words and places and things, but there was nothing that looked like our new friend. Oh, look at the newspaper that someone's reading on the green chair. It says Daily News, Zoo Breakout. Zookeeper looks high and low for missing animal. We knew he wasn't an elephant. He didn't have a trunk. He wasn't a tiger either. He didn't have any stripes. He wasn't a horse or a bear. He let out a loud snore. He was still asleep. Perhaps he didn't belong in our backyard at all. Maybe he had traveled for a very long time from somewhere far away. Maybe he was a ferocious pirate who had been sailing the seas and was sleepy from all his adventures. He might even be a brave knight who was exhausted from spending all his time fighting dragons. Look! He is not an elephant or an astronaut or a pirate or a knight. He is an animal called a sloth. We learned that our friend usually lives in the beautiful rainforests of Central and South America. This sloth is a type called a three-toed sloth, who uses his strong grip to stay in the trees. Sloths move very, very slowly. The sloth is a very sleepy animal. He can sleep hanging in a tree for up to 20 hours a day. Sometimes a sloth lives in the same tree in the rainforest for years at a time. The rainforest has all the things that a sloth likes to eat, such as leaves, fruit, twigs, and even bugs. The rainforest sounded wonderful. We decided there was only one thing to do. We found a nice big box and used all the stamps we could find. We packed him some lovely leaves to eat and toys for the journey. We were so happy the sloth had come all the way from the rainforest to visit. We would miss him lots, but we were glad that he would be waking up back where he belonged. Deep in the rainforest, the sloth finally stirred. He had been having the most wonderful sleep. He slowly lifted his head, looked around, and said, "Excuse me, which way is the zoo?" Those kids learned so much about sloths, didn't they? They learned what they eat, where they live, all kinds of things. Let's sing a song about that information. Are you ready? All right. Are you ready, Clyde? I think he's ready. Does Clyde the sloth move fast? Clyde the sloth doesn't move fast, doesn't move fast, doesn't move fast. Clyde the sloth doesn't move fast because he moves so slowly. Does Clyde the sloth live in the library? Clyde the sloth doesn't live in the library, doesn't live in the library, doesn't live in the library. Clyde the sloth doesn't live in the library because he lives in the rainforest. How about, does Clyde have feathers? Do you have feathers? Clyde the sloth doesn't have feathers, doesn't have feathers, doesn't have feathers. Clyde the sloth doesn't have feathers because he has fur. How about, does Clyde like cookies? I like cookies. Clyde the sloth doesn't like cookies, doesn't like cookies, doesn't like cookies. Clyde the sloth doesn't like cookies because he eats leaves and insects and fruit. Now you've learned a bunch about sloths too.
Let's go ahead and read our second book.
Sparky, written by Jenny Offill and illustrated by Chris Applehans. I wanted a pet, a bird or a bunny or a trained seal. My mother said, no to the bird, no to the bunny, no, no, no to the trained seal. I asked her every day for a month until she finally said, you can have any pet you want, as long as it doesn't need to be walked or bathed or fed. I made her promise. Then I went to see the school librarian. Mrs. Kinklebaum, who knows everything in the world, pointed me to volume S of the Animal Encyclopedia. This is what I found. Sloth. Sloths have been known to sleep more than 16 hours a day. They sometimes hang upside down in trees, barely moving for long periods of time. They survive by eating leaves and drinking the dew that collects in them. It is said that sloths are the laziest animals in the world. My sloth arrived by express mail. He was about the size of a medium-ish dog, with a flat nose and a monkey face. My mother wasn't happy, but a promise is a promise, I said. Sparky, I decided, that will be your name. I took him outside to his tree. Sparky went right to sleep. I made a sign and put it under the tree. Guard, sloth, enter at your own peril. It was 2 days before I saw him awake. He didn't know a lot of games, so I taught him some. We played King of the Mountain, and I won. We played hide and seek, and I won. We played Kung Fu Fighter, and I won. We played statue, and Sparky was very, very good. That weekend, Mary Potts came over to investigate. Let me show you what Mary Potts is like. This is a picture of her room. Ooh, look at her room. There's a lot of awards on the wall, aren't there? Let's see what they say. Best fire drill liner-upper. Excellence in permission slip compliance. Most likely to chew close-mouthed in the lunchroom. Before she even took off her coat, Mary said, let me see your new pet. I had some worries, but I took her out to Sparky's tree. He opened his eyes and looked at us. Then he closed them again. I rubbed his belly, but it was too late. We stood there for a while, watching him sleep. His fur ruffled gently in the breeze. I feel very sorry for you, Mary said. My cat can dance on her hind legs, and my parrot knows 20 words, including God and ice cream. Sparky knows tricks too, I told her, but she didn't believe me. The next day I made a poster and nailed it to the tree outside Mary Potts' house. Trained Sloth Extravaganza. Countless tricks to mystify you, just 7 days away. All week we trained in secret. Sometimes Sparky slept through practice and I had to poke him awake. Sometimes he forgot what he was doing and we had to start over. Sometimes he took so long to fetch that I went inside and had dinner while I waited. I was starting to think the poster had been a mistake, but a promise is a promise. On the day of the trained sloth extravaganza, my mother set up lawn chairs. 3 people came to see Sparky perform: my mother, Mary Potts, and Mrs. Edwin, the crossing guard. Mrs. Edwin approved of Sparky because he never ran in the street. "Do I look like a ringmaster?" I asked my mother. "You look very interesting," she told me. I put a little glitter on Sparky just before the curtain went up. I kept wishing I had written 2 tricks on the poster instead of countless tricks. "Play dead, Sparky," I said, and he did. "Roll over," I said, and he didn't. "Speak," I commanded. We all waited and waited. "Speak?" I said. Sparky looked at me. The only thing you could hear was the wind in the trees. "He has a very pretty coat, doesn't he?" Mrs. Edwin said finally. "You can't just invent a brand new pet like that," Mary told me. "A pet no one's ever even had." My mother came out with lemonade and cookies, but everyone said they had to be going. Sparky and I watched them. Then my mother made me put the chairs away. Afterward, I gave Sparky a cookie, but he ate it so slowly that I took it back again. It was getting dark out. I looked at him, and he looked at me. You could hear all the neighborhood dogs barking. I reached over and tagged him on his claw. "For it, Sparky," I said, and for a long, long time he was.
The rainforest has many friends. My favorite is the sloth. 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 My favorite is the sloth. 5 lazy sloths in a tree by the door. One fell asleep, and then there were 4. 4 lazy sloths climbing on a tree. One fell asleep, and then there were 3. 3 lazy sloths wondering what to do. One fell asleep, and then there were 2. 2 lazy sloths not having any fun. One fell asleep, and then there was 1. 1 lazy sloth couldn't wait till day was done. She went to bed, and then there were none.
"Slowly, slowly, slowly," said the sloth. Written and illustrated by Eric Carle. Slowly, 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 a sloth crawled along a branch of a tree. Slowly, 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 the sloth ate a leaf. Slowly, 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 the sloth fell asleep. Slowly, 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 the sloth woke up. All day long, the sloth hung upside down in the tree. All night long, The sloth hung upside down in the tree. Even when it rained, the sloth hung upside down in the tree. "Why are you so slow?" the howler monkey asked one day, but the sloth didn't answer. "Why are you so quiet?" the caiman asked, but the sloth didn't answer. "Why are you so boring?" the anteater asked, but the sloth didn't answer. "Tell me," said the jagger, "why are you so lazy?" The sloth thought and thought and thought for a long, long, long time. Finally, the sloth replied, "It is true that I am slow, quiet, and boring. I am lackadaisical, I dawdle, and I dilly-dally. I am also unflappable, languid, stoic, impassive, sluggish, lethargic, placid, calm, mellow, laid back, and, well, slothful. I am relaxed and tranquil, and I like to live in peace, but I am not lazy." Then the sloth yawned and said, "That's just how I am. I like to do things slowly, slowly, slowly." Look at all these cool animals on this page. Can you look back in the book and see if you can find them? I bet you can.
That's the end of story time today, Clyde. I hope everybody had fun. I sure did. And Clyde has a nice smile on his face. It's time to say goodbye. Should we do our goodbye song? Yeah. Here we go. Up, down, turn around, touch the sky, touch the ground, pat your tummy, blink your eyes, blow a kiss, mwah, and wave goodbye. Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Why are we always in a hurry? Rush, rush, rush. We scurry from here and there. We play computer games and then, quick, click, we watch TV. We eat fast food. Everyone tells us to make it snappy. Hurry up, time is flying. Step on it. There's so little time to just be with friends, to watch a sunset or gaze at a star-filled sky. What we could learn, even if just a little, from the gentle sloth who slowly, slowly, slowly crawls along a branch of a tree, eats a little, sleeps a lot, and lives in peace. Eric Carle. This is a foreword written by Jane Goodall. Sloths have fascinated me ever since I was a child. I learned about their existence in the jungles of South America. There are two species, the three-toed and the two-toed. Sloths can turn their heads about 270 degrees. They can also hang from one leg and rotate their bodies in a manner most horrifying to observe, through almost 360 degrees. They spend their lives upside down, hanging from the branches. They feed, mostly at dawn and dusk, on shoots and blossoms, leaves and fruits. After feeding for a few hours, moving slowly from one branch to the next, they fall asleep. They sleep 15 to 19 hours out of 24, hanging from a branch with their heads laid on their bellies. They look just like part of the tree because a kind of green algae grows in strange grooves on their long, coarse hairs, so that they become the same greenish color as their forest world. All kinds of moths and beetles live in their fur. If the sloths are threatened, they defend themselves by striking out with their powerful arms and dagger-like claws. Sloths live in the same tree for days, sometimes weeks. About once a week, looking fat, they climb down slowly to the ground, where they defecate and urinate, carefully bury their waste, and climb slowly back, looking slim. When they do move to a new tree, they may have to swim across a river. They are surprisingly fast swimmers. Sloths are silent animals. Occasionally they comment on life with a gentle sigh that sounds like, "Ay." When I was a child, sloths, although they were sometimes hunted for food by the indigenous people, had little else to fear. Today, they face the destruction of their habitat as forests are cut down for timber or to create grazing land for cattle. I am so delighted that my friend Eric Carl has chosen to write this book about a sloth. It will do so much to make young people aware of these delightful, gentle, peace-loving creatures. And as more and more people care, so there is greater hope that the sloths, along with their forest world and the other wondrous creatures that live there, will survive.